All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to peek behind the curtain, look behind the bots, if you will, to really understand the AI that makes talking to our devices possible.
Have you ever stopped to think about how Alexa just gets you? It feels like magic, right? You ask for the weather, tell it to play a song, and boom, it understands. So how on earth does a machine take our everyday words and turn them into a real action?
Well, here's the big secret. It's not magic, it's technology. And the crazy part is, the powerful engine that's running Alexa, it's the exact same one that you can use to build your own stuff. It's called Amazon Lex.
Okay, so what is this thing, Amazon Lex? Well, at its heart, it's basically a universal translator. Its main job is to take our messy human way of talking, whether we speak it or type it, and translate it into a super clean, organized format that a computer can actually understand. This is, without a doubt, the most important first step for any chatbot out there.
So, to really see how this all works, let's follow a super simple request from start to finish. We'll trace its journey from just words to an actual action. And we're going to stick with a classic example, ordering a coffee.
Okay, here's our phrase. I'd like a large coffee. Now, for you and me, that's incredibly simple, but think about it from the computer's point of view. That sentence is a little puzzle. It has a goal and it has a key detail, and the computer has to pull both of those out perfectly.
So, how does Lex solve this puzzle? It's actually trained to look for two very specific things. First, what's the big picture? What's the user's main goal? And second, what are the nitty-gritty details it needs to make that happen? In the world of Amazon Lex, these two things have names, intents and slots.
Let's start with the intent. The easiest way to think about this is that it's the main action, the overall mission of what the person is asking. So in our coffee example, the user isn't just casually mentioning coffee, right? They want to order it. That action, to order, that's the intent.
But just knowing someone wants to order coffee isn't really enough to do anything, is it? We need the specifics. And that's where slots come in. Just think of them as the empty blanks, the variables that need to be filled in with the critical pieces of information to actually get the job done. And here you can see it all laid out. Lex looks at I'd like a large coffee, and boom. It figures out the intent is order coffee, and it fills in the size slot with the word large. And just like that, our casual, spoken sentence is now clean, structured data that a computer program can finally understand and use.
Okay, so at this point, Lex has done its job. It's understood the request, it knows the goal, and it knows the details. But here's a key thing to remember. Lex is the brains of the operation, not the hands. To actually do something with that information, we need to call in another service.
And that's where AWS Lambda comes in. If Lex is the brain, Lambda is the hands. It's the action taker. It gets that neat little package of data from Lex, the intent and the slots, and it runs the code to make things happen. So Lambda is the thing that actually places the order in the coffee shop system or goes and checks the database for a flight status. So when you boil it all down, it's really just a simple three-step dance. First, you have the input. That's the user speaking or typing. Second, you have understand. That's Lex figuring out the intents and slots. And finally, you have fulfill. That's Lambda taking action. Input, understand, fulfill. That's the core loop of basically every single AI conversation.
Now, ordering coffee is a great, simple example. But the real fun starts when you want to build much smarter, more complex conversations. So let's talk about how you can really level up your bot by plugging in some other powerful AWS services.
Yeah, you can seriously power up your Lex bot. For instance, you could hook it up with Amazon Connect to build bots for call centers. Or you could use Lambda to reach out to external APIs, to check on flight statuses or weather forecasts. And for really deep analysis, you can bring in Amazon Comprehend.
Yeah, let's talk about Amazon Comprehend for a second, because it adds this whole new layer of intelligence. For starters, it can do what's called sentiment analysis. Basically, it can figure out if a user is happy, or frustrated, or just neutral, which means your bot can then change its tone. Then there's entity recognition, which is kind of like having superpowered slots. It can automatically spot things like names, places, and products in a sentence, even if you didn't specifically set up a slot for them. It's pretty cool.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're building a simple bot to order a pizza or a super sophisticated system that's going to handle thousands of customer service calls. Amazon Lex gives you those essential, scalable building blocks you need to make any kind of conversation happen. The takeaway here is that you now have access to the very same powerful toolkit that powers Alexa. It's right there at your fingertips. So the only question left is, what conversation are you going to build next?